Tony wrote us this email. He says, recently I've been finding small black pellets in the basement. He hears scratching noises when he goes down there. You've also noticed his pantry has a sharp, musky odor, and he's starting to be suspicious. Rightly so, correct? We're looking at mice?
Oh, yes. Probably mice. Probably so. 'Tis the season.
So the droppings are a sign, obviously, the scratching in the walls, ceilings, underfloors. Where else might you find them?
Yeah, they hang out in your pantry. They hang out anywhere that's close to any water source. So if you've got a leaking sink, you're going to find them around that. You'll find them in your kitchen cabinets. Anywhere there is a food source, they are going to be looking for a way in. And one point, a mouse only needs a 1/4 inch hole to get in. You think about a mouse anatomy, their heads are half the height of the width of their head. So they look for those getting underneath a door. If you can put a nickel, they can get through a hole the size of a nickel. Okay.
Wow.
A rat only needs the size of a quarter, about 1/2 inch hole to get in. So yeah, any of those areas where you've got small holes or gaps under doors, mice are looking for a way in because they want to be warm and toasty too.
If you've got a dog and the dog starts paying particular attention to a section of a wall,
Yep.
an indication they're hearing something?
Very much so. Or the mouse has gone through there. I've got a dog that is a pointer breed, and she tracks them through the house when they're here.
Oh, okay. And then if you find one deceased mouse in your home, chances are they're not alone.
Probably not. Yeah, if one made its way in, you probably have others, and once others come in, then they start families in the home. So yeah, if you're setting out traps and you catch one in a trap, you want to reset it because there's probably others that will be coming along.
And speaking of tracks, if you see tracks or runways where mice are going, you have some frequent activity, right?
Yeah, and they put down this kind of gross smear that they call sebum, which is kind of like an oil that they rub. You kind of see it along the wall because they run very close to walls. And when they do that repeatedly, they leave like a little greasy streak.
Interesting. All right. So those are some of the tips, telltale signs you should never ignore if you have a house or a condo or even apartment. That will hopefully keep you up to date on that. We go back over to Cora Henderson over at Pitt and Frank LLC. Cora, this comes from Adam, sent us an email asking us an interesting question. He recently got married to Allison. He's living in her house. She is on the deed and the mortgage as well. He is not, at least on the mortgage. I suspect he's now on the deed because of in Louisville, we're dow courtesy in the state of Kentucky, right? So, or courtesy. He is wondering, they've had arguments lately, so not going so well. I hope he's changed his name for the sake of keeping this confidential within his own marriage. He's wondering, is there any way he can ensure that she does not sell the property out from underneath him without him knowing? Cora?
Great question. And I hope that they're able to, certainly find the assistance they need to stay in the marriage. Should that be, where they're headed? Sorry to hear about his issues there. But if she is the only one on the deed, she's the only one on title. Yes, you're correct in that at the state of Kentucky, by statute there, since they're married, he has a dower interest. So that means he has that 50% interest in the property. Now, he's not on the deed. You can look up the instrument, and so long as they didn't do a quitclaim deed or any other type of deed, putting it to record, adding his name as a title holder, you're not going to see it there. And as you had mentioned, the note and mortgage may have been in her name when she was an unmarried individual. However, by virtue of the marriage, now that dower interest exists. As a result of that dower interest, this is where I get into answering his question. She cannot effectively and legally refinance or sell the property without him signing those documents, not if she is the only one on title. It cannot happen. So he should rest assured knowing that is would be certainly impossible, absent fraud or forgery, for that property to be sold without his consent and signature.
Got it. All right. A reminder that if you'd like to see the future of photography and video, go to Louisville3D.com, Louisville3D.com. All right, Brad Lawler over at Home Team. This goes to you. Jessica, first-time home buyer. She closed on her home back in October of this year. She's concerned about the winter weather and what she should do to prevent water emergencies like frozen pipes, things like that. So suggestions, and this goes out to everybody who's listening to us who has a house or a condo or an apartment. Yeah.
Yeah, so make sure you know where your water shutoff is. So in case you do have an emergency with a line breaking, you know how to shut the water off to the house. If you have outside spigots, look for the shutoff valve. There's likely one that you have somewhere. Shut those off at the source. Open up the outside valve just to make sure that you don't have any water sitting in them. If you have, say, a kitchen or a laundry room that is on an exterior wall, just know that the likelihood of those water lines freezing are higher than they are, say, an interior bathroom. So you've got to note where all of those exterior lines are. If you've got overhead piping in, say, an attic, I would definitely want to make sure that when you go to bed at night, make sure you leave some water running, dripping at the sink. I know we always argue about what size is appropriate. I say about the size of pencil lead, just a stream of water. Water is flowing through those pipes is cheap. Repairs for frozen lines are expensive, so keep a little bit of water running in the overnight hours when other things are not being used. And I would also recommend that you open up cabinet doors if you do have those exterior walls. Just get a little bit, allow a little bit more heat to go in them. But that should help, keep the house pretty well protected even in extremely cold weather. But those outside spigots are the ones that we always see, as the challenge, because people just don't think about them. They freeze, and then you don't find out that they froze and broke until you have, sometimes even a spring thaw,
Mhm.
on a house. Then you start getting water in a finished basement. It's never a pretty sight.
A reminder, with run a lot of information at you, you can listen to this show and see it video wise as well. Go to LouisvilleAnswers.com, LouisvilleAnswers.com. It's a redirect to our YouTube channel.